We talked a little bit yesterday about the situation going on with the IU basketball program, whether or not Tom Crean has a handle on things, if he's the right guy for the job. We've covered quite a bit about it, and one guy in particular that has covered it pretty extensively is Indianapolis Star reporter Gregg Doyel, who joins us now on the Menard Studio Hotline. Gregg, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Let's get right into it here. You've written a number of articles on what's going on in Bloomington. And in one of them, you mentioned some reactions you've been getting from the fan base. What has the general consensus been from the fans of IU?
Well, from what I'm hearing is most of them, and certainly not all of them, but most of them say, yeah, you're right. What's happening in Indiana is an outrage and Crean should be fired. But I'm not so sure they're really agreeing with me in my very specific point, and how much they just think Indiana can win more with another coach, and they want to go in another direction. I don't really know what to make of the fact that everybody seems to agree with me, but I know how the fan base is here. They're not sure Crean's the guy, and I think they might be just seeing the drug and alcohol issues as an excuse to get rid of them. And so I don't know.
Well, I know I had a chance to read through some of your articles, as I mentioned at our correspondence yesterday, to get things set up for today. For those that maybe haven't had an opportunity, just kind of give a brief synopsis of where you stand on this situation.
Well, they've had, since February, 6 different players have been either failed a drug test, arrested for DWI, OWI, arrested for or cited for underage drinking or having fake IDs, or, bless his heart, Devin Davis, in his case, in the official police report where he was hit by a car or hit by his teammate, police report said he'd been drinking, and he's 18. So 6 out of 13 players have been essentially legally tied and outed as breaking laws involving alcohol and drugs since February. I realize college kids are going to do stupid stuff. They're going to drink. I have a college kid. He's going to drink, too. I get it. But 6 out of 13 since February, half your roster since February, that's a major, major problem. So my point is, the guy that recruited all these guys, the guy that's supposed to be the leader, pretty sure he's the wrong guy.
Well, that was my next question, actually, coming out, is these coaches anybody that's been involved in recruitment at all, they'll sit in the living room of these parents and they look these parents right in the eye and say, look, you're turning your kid over to us. We understand he's 18 years old, never been away from home. We'll take care of him, I promise you. We got your back. We got him. But with all that being said, how much is a coaching staff responsible for a kid that's just going to kind of make mistakes like having a couple of beers here and there?
Well, if we're talking about one kid, he's not all that responsible for one kid. Things happen. Life's not perfect. A kid or two is going to do what a kid or two does. When half your roster is getting in trouble for doing it since February, that's no longer – how much is the coach really responsible? Half the roster? I would ask anybody listening or you guys right now, has anybody ever heard of anything like this where half the damn team's roster has been publicly busted for drinking or drugs illegally in an 8-month period? I've never heard of this. I've never heard anything close to this.
Yeah, and you're right, and I haven't either. And I think a lot of it, the reason it's become such a story is obviously there's so much tradition with the IU program. And I know I told you through some emails that I had an opportunity to listen to your talk with Dan Dockich up at 1070 The Fan in Indianapolis. And obviously Dan is very passionate about the situation, being a former player and a former assistant coach up there. And takes a lot of pride in the fact that he wore the IU colors while he was up there. But, yeah, as far as having any recollection of another program that's been through this before, I can't think of anything. And I think, obviously, it's tarnished that reputation, and I think that's why there's been so much outrage to it, especially from this program that for the majority of its existence, you haven't seen anything quite like this before.
Well, no. Bob Knight would never have something like this.
Right.
He's got his own issues, his own ways, but yeah, one thing Knight's not going to do is tolerate this. And to me, Crean's tolerated it. The Perea got 2-game suspension for his DWI, but since then, a couple guys got busted in April. No suspension for those two. The most recent 2 guys failed a drug test. Actually, failed a second drug test because to get suspended at all, you have to fail 2. So the second drug test, the minimum suspension, according to the IU Student Athlete Handbook, the minimum suspension is 3 games, 10% of the season. Crean gave him 4. So, yeah, no, he didn't get in the minimum, but he just about did. It's 2 exhibitions and then 2 games against Texas Southern, Missouri Valley State, unless it's Mississippi Southern and Texas Valley State. It really doesn't matter who those games are against. So I just can't really get on board with, well, Crean's doing everything he can to fix this. I don't see that. What I see is another kid's going to do another stupid thing in a couple weeks because Crean's making it clear that carte blanche. Gentlemen, carte blanche.
What would you have liked to have seen him do? Are we talking about just booting these guys from the team, or should there have been a longer suspension? What in your mind would have been the ideal punishment for what has taken place?
I haven't given that a second thought, so I don't know. All I know, it's kind of like the Supreme Court thing about pornography. You know when you see it.
Right.
I don't know what perfect is. I know what embarrassingly weak is, and I see it. Look, 6 out of 13. Doesn't lie. What's going on is weak. The suspension, the punishments have been clearly weak and haven't really escalated. I guess off the top of my head, a perfect suspension, knowing that 3 is the minimum, knowing that he absolutely had to give him 3, I would say 6, 8, maybe 10, something like that might be, palatable. Whatever the number is, anything higher than 4 is better than 4. I don't know what the right thing is.
Right.
I know wrong. 4 games and 2 of them are exhibitions. That's pathetic.
I don't disagree with you, Greg. I've followed IU basketball for many years, and it is. I kind of wish for the Bobby Knight days again. We're talking with Gregg Doyel, Indianapolis Star reporter. Great follow on Twitter at Gregg Doyel Star.
I'm kind of like Dr. Evil. I didn't go to evil school to be called Mr. Evil. I went to evil school to be called medical school to be called Dr. Evil. Similarly, I didn't get hired as Indy Star's columnist to be called Indy Star reporter over and over and over. So you got to call me Dr. Evil or call me Indy Star columnist. I'll take either of those two. But I won't take Indy Star reporter because I'm not a reporter. I don't have that kind of talent. I'm not the guy out there breaking news.
Fair
enough. You have to do that.
All right, I got this. We're talking with Gregg Doyel, Indy Star columnist, Dr. Evil, and he's a great follow.
So hard?
That was not hard at all. Came out like butter, baby. Came out like butter, Mr.
Right.
Indy Star columnist. Did I get it right?
Pretty much. I kind of hoping you go with Dr. Evil.
Well, I can do that too.
We can do that too,
now.
sure.
We can do that the rest of the time, sir. Yeah, we can. That's not a problem at all. Hey, the question I have for you, Dr. Evil, is this normally the coaches don't even really have to step in very much on this. You get a leader on a team, and he's going to tell you, guys, and this is one of your peers that's going to tell you, guys, you can't be this stupid. What's wrong with you? You got to square up a little. Does this team have a leader?
No, starting with the coach, frankly, because if they had a leader, that this wouldn't be happening. A and B, if it was happening, they'd be disciplined within an inch of their athletic life, and they wouldn't screw that one up again. Okay, gosh, if that's what's going to happen, I'm not going to do that. But even on the court, no. Listen, their best player is Yogi Ferrell. He's their best player, one of the more veteran players, all that, and I am not going to say, I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting, I'm not implying he's a bad kid. What I am saying is he's not a leader. He's not a leader. I mean, look, not everybody's a leader. Just because you're a junior, senior, best player on the team doesn't make you a leader.
Right.
Yogi Ferrell's not a leader. In fact, he was one of the guys that got arrested or cited for underage drinking and having a fake ID. And the thing is about all of that is, again, college kids will do that, but he did it on the weekend. It's called Little 500. It's a bike race in Bloomington. It's a big deal, and it's a known, notorious party weekend to the point that Bloomington is flooded with, and the campus bar area especially, flooded with state excise cops.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for underage drinking because that's when it happens. It's like going to Mardi Gras and getting busted. That's the one spot where there's a million cops. Don't be snorting coke right there at Mardi Gras. Well, don't be carrying a fake ID around at Little 500 because that's like going down the interstate right by where all the cops normally hang out and just going 90. That's not smart.
Yeah, that's the weekend they pay their bills. Yeah.
Right. That's a leadership thing that Yogi Ferrell lacks. So anyway, that's a long answer to your question.
That's all right.
There's no leadership on that team. None.
Talking to Gregg Doyel, Dr. Evil, Indianapolis Star columnist on the Menard Studio Hotlines, Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville, 105.3. One last thing for you, Greg, and we do appreciate the time. Do you see any scenario whatsoever that Tom Crean is still the coach of this team after the season is done? Or does he even make it through the season at this point?
I think there's a better chance of him not making it through the season just because surely if one more guy gets in trouble, surely if it happens again, I don't, at that point you're 7 or 8, and that's more than half. At some point, enough be enough. But there is a scenario where he keeps his job, but I don't see it. The scenario is this Indiana team overachieve, and they overachieve and win 24-5 games, go to the tournament and all that. I don't think you get rid of your coach after that. But I don't see that because you look at Kareem's record, and he's had some good years. But he's had some good years when he's had NBA lottery picks.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Wade, Oladipo, we had Zeller, maybe not a lottery pick, close. He doesn't have that this year, unless Blackman is that good. Blackman might be that good. I don't think he is.
His dad was.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless Blackman's a lottery pick, and people think he's good, we don't think he's that good. But this team doesn't have that kind of talent. Tom Green has never won big without that kind of talent. So I don't see that scenario. That's the only one that exists, though, where he'd keep his stuff.
Well, if 1 or 2 more of those kids get in trouble before these other ones come off suspension, you better hope the equipment manager can shoot threes because they're not going to have 5 guys left to start.
Yeah, no kidding. That's exactly right.
It's Gregg Doyel, Indianapolis Star columnist, a.k.a. Dr. Evil, joining us on the Menard Studio Hotline. Gregg, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Maybe we can talk something a little more lighthearted next time, maybe some Colts or Pacers or something along those lines somewhere down the road.
Why not? Please give me a call.
I will. Thanks for the time, Gregg. We appreciate it.